everyone, this is Zach from Power Soccer Play Designer, and the common question I have is how to make the player spin the way I want the player to spin. Because sometimes I want a 90, sometimes I want a 180, sometimes I want a 270. And how on earth does this program read my mind and know what I want? The short answer is it can't read your mind and it doesn't know what you want, so you have to tell it. So I'm going to do a demo here. I'm just going to add all two players for fun. There's player one, and there's player one for blue, just to show you how it works. So, by default, it's always going to turn the shortest angle possible. So, for example, this is slide one, so I'm going to add slide two, and let's say I want him to turn to the right. So, for example, he went from there, slide two, he's going there. He's going to turn clockwise. But let's say you don't want him to turn clockwise. Let's say you want him to spin all the way around counterclockwise. What you do, I added a checkbox over here on the left, greater than 180 spin. So it'll apply to the next slide. So for example, if I wanted this turn from slide 1 to 2, to be at 270, right, counterclockwise, I'd have to go back onto slide 1. I'd click on that, and that's greater than 180. So I'll show you a demo. They're both upright on slide 1. Blue has that on, and red does not, right? You can see red does not have it checked. So if I go to slide 2, I'm going to turn red also to the right. So what you're going to find happen here is red is going to turn 90 degrees clockwise, blue is going to turn 270 counterclockwise when I export the video here on the final slide. So, you see how that went? And it exported the video file. You can see it. It operated the way I told it to. Now, one nuance of this. Now, let's say that I checked it on this slide, for example, on slide 2. So this will apply to the transition into slide 3. So let's add a slide. Let's say they're both down now. Now, yeah, what you would expect is red will continue to turn clockwise, and blue, because that box was checked on slide 2, he was at 90. He would turn counterclockwise all the way back to the bottom. However, something interesting happened here. You'll notice, because it was checked in slide 2, it remains checked in slide 3. So if I was to add a slide 4, but let's say I didn't want him to pivot the long way anymore, I'd have to uncheck this box for future slides. So for example, on slide 4, I'm going to turn them back to the 3 o'clock position, but I want blue player 1 to just turn the short way, to turn counterclockwise back. So let's uncheck that. I'm going to add the slide. Now we're on slide 4, and we're going to pivot him back, and we're going to pivot him back. Now, if I export these videos, you'll notice blue is going to make 2 counterclockwise spins to move to 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and then he's going to go counterclockwise back to 3. Whereas red is always going to go the short way. He'll go 12 to 3 to 6, then back to 3. Did you see how that worked? So remember, the rule of thumb, it's always going to turn the shortest unless you check that box. If you check that box and you add a new slide and you don't want it, remember to uncheck it for the future slide. So you're always checking one slide behind where it animates. I hope that's not too confusing. I hope that helps. Play around with it. Let me know. Email me with feedback. Thanks as always for using Power Soccer Play Designer. We'll see you on the court.